Hey, what is going on, guys? It is Young here, and today I'm back in our Fortnite video. And in today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys some very simple tips to do that's going to improve your building speed and help you guys build a lot faster in this game. And this can also help with editing as well. So building and editing, I'm going to be showing you guys some tips that help you guys improve the speed at which you do so. And before we get into the video, I have a V-Buck giveaway. I'm going to be giving away 2,000 V-Bucks. And if you guys want a chance to enter this giveaway, all you guys have to do is to drop a like on this video. Make sure you guys do subscribe to the channel, turn on my post notifications, and as well leave a comment down below of either your Xbox gamer tag, your PSN gamer tag, or Epic account, and you guys will be entered into the giveaway. So make sure you guys do enter if you guys want a chance to win. And alright guys, let's go right to the video. Alright, so here in this video, I'm going to give you guys some very simple and easy tips to follow and also to do that's going to help you guys build a lot faster and a lot cleaner in this game. So the first thing that I would like for you guys to take a look at and maybe to change is going to be your control building sensitivity. And so the reason with this is a lot of you guys might think the best way to do it is to maybe raise your building sense, but honestly I think the best way to go is to lower it. I'm gonna show you guys exactly why, because it sounds kind of different, like why would you lower your control building sensitivity if you wanted to build a lot faster in this game, but I'm gonna show you guys exactly the reason why. So currently I play anywhere from like a 1.2 to like a 1.9. That just feels the most comfortable for me. But for instance, if you drop it down to like a 1.5, I recommend don't really, moving it this low. But when you play on a lower building sensitivity, it makes it so much easier to build. It's going to be a lot cleaner and a lot easier to do, because the higher you raise your building sensitivity, the more likely and the more sloppy your building is going to be, because the higher you raise it, it's going to be a lot harder for certain movements, especially if you play on linear, because if you play on linear, you don't have that small analog stick movement, so it's going to be a lot difficult for some sort of builds. Because if you're talking about just like maybe boxing up, having a higher building sensitivity will help with that. But for most of the builds in the game, if you have too high of a building sensitivity, your builds are going to be too sloppy, causing you to mess up, which in turn will cause you to build a lot slower in this game. And as well, if you're misplacing your builds or building very sloppy, you're going to be losing a lot of materials in game, which is kind of a crucial thing as well. So you really want to find a happy medium. But I would recommend, if you feel like your builds are maybe a little bit sloppy, maybe you feel like you're not really having the best control, I would highly recommend maybe lowering your control building sensitivity a little bit down. I probably wouldn't go lower than like a 1.8, but I would say anything from like a 1.8 to maybe like a 2.2 is going to be ideal. Anything higher than that, and of course it matters what your X and Y sensitivity is. I have a little bit higher because that's going to determine how fast your control building sensitivity actually is. But anywhere in that range, I would probably really recommend, because I know a lot of people that have really high building sensitivities but are a lot slower at building than me, just because they're really sloppy. They're misplacing builds everywhere, and it's just not very consistent or very easy. And even right here, I'm showing you when I have a higher editing sense or a higher building sensitivity, it gets a lot more sloppy, especially with certain movements when it comes to maybe like doing 90s or double floor ramp wall, where you have to like move your analog stick just a little bit left to right. Then it really does throw off my builds quite a bit. And of course, you can argue that I'm not used to it, but I really do feel like if you have too high of a building sensitivity, in turn it's going to make your building a lot slower, because you're not going to be able to place your builds exactly where you want to, causing you to mess up, causing you to lose a lot more materials, which is not anything that you'd want to do. So maybe trying out a little bit lower building sensitivity can actually improve the speed at your building, because you're going to be a lot more clean. And I think that's really the best way to think about it, is you want to have the cleanest builds possible. You don't have to have like super smooth builds, but you want to be able to have a very consistent and very easy time building. So when you are building, you want to make sure that you're very consistent. You're not misplacing a bunch of builds, because if you feel like you are misplacing, then you definitely want to lower your building sensitivity. So the next tip I wanted to get into, and the next thing that has helped me a lot when it comes to my building speed, is going to be learning a lot different high ground retakes. So with high ground retakes, there's a few things you can go about. I make quite a bit of videos on different high ground retakes, and of course a lot of the ones I'm showing in this video you probably wouldn't do in game, but when you learn these advanced high ground retakes, they really do help you get a lot better at building, a lot cleaner. So when you are in game and you're doing a lot easier retakes, it's going to be very easy to get that placement off, because you're so used to doing a lot harder builds that the easier ones are going to be a lot easier. Because when it comes to games, you're only really doing maybe, I would say, 3, maybe 4 different high ground retakes. You're not really doing a lot of them. The ones you are doing are very simple, and when it comes to simple things, is probably the best way to go in this game, because when things are very simple, they're very easy to do over and over again. Because when you get into very advanced high ground retakes, the type of clips you see in the Instagram clips and things like that, it's just not very easy and very practical for in games, because you're going to be messing them up a lot. Even those players that you see that might look consistent with it, when it comes to games, they're messing them up all the time. They're really just doing it for clips. It's not really they're doing it because it's very, very effective, but they do help you improve your build. Like when I started doing a lot more high ground retakes, learning as much as I can, I definitely noticed an increase in my building speed, and also my I guess my accuracy with building, or my consistency, I guess I could say, my consistency with builds. So I definitely noticed that went up tenfold. So when it comes to practicing these builds, I think the best way to do it is look at a lot of different high ground retake videos, and maybe work your way up. If you don't know how to do like certain things, then you don't want to go for other things that are a lot more complicated. You want to start slower and then work your way up to much harder retakes, and that's really the best way to go. Even when it comes to any sort of improvement at this game, you want to make sure you have the easiest parts down very, very well before you try and try to do the really advanced things, because otherwise it's just going to be a pain to learn. And also, I think tunneling is a very, very good way to improve your building speed, because this is something that you do pretty much, at least for me, I do it every single game. Whether I'm in a box, I need to expand out, and a really good way to practice this if you guys are really bad at tunneling is you can practice when you open up the door, because when you open up the door, it really isn't that much slower. Of course, I'm not used to this at all. It is a little bit different, but it is very easy, because all you have to do is just walk straight, and you're going to be able to do this tunneling over and over again. But you also want to make sure you have the auto open doors as well when you're doing this. And this is really just like a beginner's guide to tunneling if you're not really that good at it, because when you're editing doors, it really doesn't slow you down that much as long as you have the auto open doors. So when you are learning tunneling, and you maybe practice them like this, it can really help you guys get the feel of tunneling without having to do them fully over and over again. But when you get used to them, of course you want to do them like this, where you're building all around you. You're building a complete box, floor, cone on top, and then you're editing off either the right side or the left side. I recommend editing off of the right side, because when you edit off the right side in this game, it means that your build is going to be on that right hand side. So if you happen to maybe run into another player, or another player is getting shots on you, it's going to be a lot better, because you're going to be on that right hand side and then they aren't. So that's what I would recommend for tunneling. I think that's a very good way to practice building speed as well. And for control, it's a lot harder to do as well, because you're smashing like 10 different buttons. But I feel like tunneling can be a very good way to improve your building speed, because it's very practical, something you do pretty much every single game over and over again. And also, my last tip for improving your building speed is going to be learning a bunch of new builds, and also practicing free builds and creative, because I feel like practicing free builds are very good, but when you are practicing free builds, you want to mix things up. You don't want to do the exact same thing over and over again, because then you're really not improving. So you always want to look for different things you can add into your free builds, whether that's different high ground retakes, maybe you add some type of editing play in there, different things like that. That's going to help you guys improve your builds. So you always want to be looking to learn some new things, and also to improve on the things that you already have, and that's going to be a really good way to improve your building speed and also consistency in this game. And also a really good way to I guess learn new things in this game is when you see something new, especially on YouTube. You have like the little option down where like the full screen is. You have the little setting things. You can actually slow down the video. You can slow it down to like, I think, 0.25 speed, or maybe 0.10 speed. So if you see like a new retake or some sort of build that looks really cool, you wanted to try out, but maybe you really don't understand how it's done, you can also just slow it down, and that's really an easy way to go about it. And if you ever wanted to, you could slow it down and then hit like the little slow-mo on your phone, so you can have it slowed down, and then you can kind of play it back step by step and see how exactly it's done, because there's a lot of clips out there of people doing some crazy free builds, but at the same time, you're not going to be able to really get a full grasp, especially if it's completely new to you. You're not going to be able to get a full grasp of it. So slowing it down and really looking at exactly how it's done, how they place their builds and stuff like that, can be very helpful for learning new techniques, new builds, and maybe new edit plays, things like that. So I think that's a really good way to, I guess, learn new retakes, learn new builds, and that's really going to help you guys improve. Of course, when you put them into your game, put them into your free building, I feel like that's really going to help you guys improve your building speed and also become a lot better player at this game. So those are going to be my tips for improving your building speed. I hope these tips really help you guys out, because these are things that I do that really help my my building speed. Everything from maybe lowering my building sensitivity a little bit, from practicing retakes, learning new retakes, learning new builds, learning new edits, things like that really do help me improve and get a lot faster at this game. But with that being said, that's gonna wrap it up for this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, if you guys liked it, make sure you guys do drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already, turn on my post notifications so you guys are notified for every single new video, and alright guys, I'll see you next video.